we're live.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this introductory workshop for the Moonriver Grant Hackathon. So last night we had the welcome ceremony. That was with Dorahacks, with Yolo from Huobi Incubator, and also from Aaron with the Moonbeam Foundation. We had a fantastic kind of welcome ceremony last night, and I introduced kind of the basics of Moonriver and Polkadot and Kusama, and we're not going to go through that now because you're probably already familiar. But today we'll be taking a look at all of the bounties in great detail. We'll also be running through some of the hackathon logistics. How do the prizes work? What's the split between the bounties and the quadratic funding? So quadratic funding is a community voting, which we'll get into. It's really neat. Then we'll look at like where to get help and logistics and things like that. So I'll go ahead and share my screen, and then we can go from there. So let me start here. And okay, everything looks good with the presentation. So why do we choose Moonriver for a hackathon, right? Why not Moonriver and Moonbeam? What's the focus on Moonriver specifically? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a deep dive in the bounties, and then of course, the schedule and kind of the workshop schedule. So we have a full slate of workshops. This week is kind of the introductory kickoff week, and then next week we'll be going into more detail for the specific bounties themselves. And we have a fantastic lineup of guest speakers who will be providing, some great background, and also, the topics they're presenting on are very useful for these particular bounties. So they're very relevant and helpful. So a quick refresher: Moonriver is the parachain on Kusama, and Moonbeam is our parachain on Polkadot, as you already know. But why do we have this sort of dual network? Back in early 2020, Kusama was a testnet, and it was kind of released to the community, right? It was completely decentralized, and it was kind of like, here you go, here's this network. And the community said, this is much more valuable than just a testnet, right? Kusama can be very valuable as a place where we can experiment with real life economic conditions. So as a simple example, if you deploy a smart contract to a testnet, there's not much incentive for people to explore that contract, maybe see if it has any vulnerabilities or see if there are any issues with that. You're unlikely to get that sort of attention on a testnet, but instead you can validate your applications and your smart contracts in an environment that's closer to a full mainnet. And Kusama is a mainnet. It's just one where experimentation is more encouraged. And so Moonriver takes the same approach to the brother sister network of Polkadot and Kusama. And so all of the latest upgrades, they always ship to Moonriver first after they've been validated through the various different test nets and phases of testing. So when you think about XCM, when you think about XC20s, all of that launches first on Moonriver. So Moonriver is a very exciting place to be when you want to check out the latest the features, because you're going to see them before anyone else. And the other thing to keep in mind is that Moonriver is a more mature network. It's been around for longer. So Moonriver launched in August 2021, and then Moonbeam completed its full launch process in January of 2022. So there's some pieces of infrastructure that are already built on Moonriver that are coming to Moonbeam, but might not be deployed to Moonbeam just yet. So one example is Chainlink oracles, which are fully live on Moonriver and are coming soon to Moonbeam. But in terms of launching your application, Moonriver is a great place to experiment, and it's a great place for hackathon because the bounties, which we'll get to, many of them are kind of cutting edge and kind of like pushing the limits of the technology. So they're XCM focused, they're new NFT focused, they're very, very cool, and this aligns perfectly with kind of the philosophy of Moonriver. So The other thing that I want to highlight is that Moonriver has a passionate and engaged community. So these are active users. If you have a new application or a new smart contract and you'd like people to check it out and you want to get some feedback, I'm sure you can post a link in the Moonbeam Discord. We have a couple of different dApps channels where you can go ahead and just post your applications there. That's perfectly fine. And people are going to be interested in checking out these applications. They're engaged. They want to see what's new. They want to try out new things. And you may remember back from 2021, but Moonriver won the second crowd loan auction, and there were no allocations for venture capitalists. This was a completely community effort, and so that may be part of the reason why Moonriver has such a strong community base. And of course, many teams may choose to deploy both to Moonriver and to Moonbeam. They may choose to deploy to one instead of the other. In the terms of maybe DeFi applications, some of them might choose specifically that they want to focus exclusively on Moonbeam, or you may find projects maybe like NFTs that prefer to focus on Moonriver exclusively. So as you may know, Moonriver unites the best of Ethereum and Substrate. So we provide a full EVM implementation. That means that you can deploy your Solidity smart contracts without any changes at all. And it means that all of the different developer tools that you're expecting, they're all available and they're all compatible with Moonriver and Moonbeam. So we have a fully built out Web3 RPC. That means that you can submit a request to a Moonbeam node or a Moonriver node formatted exactly like a request that you would submit to an Ethereum node. So you could send a request like eth.getBalance. You don't even have to change the units. You don't have to change anything. And you'll get back the corresponding answer that you expect in Mover or Glimmer. And so this means that teams can quickly deploy to Moonriver or Moonbeam without worrying about overhauling their code or changing many different things. And we believe that the future is multi-chain. And so if you're launching a new application or you're building a new game, you're probably not going to just pick one chain, choose one chain and stay there, right? You're probably going to look for an approach where you can deploy to many different chains. So you might be on Ethereum, you might be on BSC, and now you're saying, hey, we need to gain access to the Polkadot ecosystem. Polkadot is huge. And likewise, we need to gain access, Dot Sama, if you've heard the term, is kind of, the combination of Polkadot and Kusama and kind of represents the larger ecosystem there. And so we seek to be the easiest on-ramp for you to gain access to the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystems. So for any type of EVM smart contracts and applications that you have, it's very easy to deploy those to Moonbeam and Moonriver without any changes. But then we also unite the best things that Polkadot has to offer, such as on-chain governance. And so when you think about advancing a protocol, having on-chain governance is critical to being able to upgrade the protocol and do it in a way which satisfies token holders. Polkadot has some huge innovations there, Kusama as well. I'm speaking about the Polkadot and Kusama together. Their upgrades for their any sort of governance decision, they're binding, and what that means is that they're autonomously enacted. So if we have a change for a runtime upgrade, right, in Moonriver, and the community goes and votes on it. If the community decides that this runtime upgrade is good to go, then at a scheduled period in time, that upgrade is automatically enacted, and it's not something that can be blocked by the collators or could be blocked by validators. All of this happens autonomously, based on the decision of the community. And so this is really, really powerful when you consider, the long-term implications of having these substrate native features in addition to the power of the EVM. And we're a proof of stake protocol. So when you consider, when we say we have a fully built Web3 RPC, we have all of the components that you need. The only things like difficulty, which exist in Ethereum because it's currently proof of work. Those don't exist in Moonbeam because it's a proof of stake system. And so we're much more efficient. So moving on to prizes. When we announced the hackathon, we originally had $100,000 in prizes, and we were very lucky to have Huobi Incubator join us as a global strategic sponsor and provide $50,000 in funding. So we have $150,000 in total prizes. $100,000 of that is allocated towards judged bounties, and then $50,000 is allocated towards quadratic funding. We'll talk about what quadratic funding is in just a couple minutes, but we're also incredibly grateful, to have the support of the Moonbeam Foundation, of Dorahacks, and Huobi Incubator. So none of this would be possible without all of these members. And Dorahacks has a unique voting platform for this quadratic funding. You can think of that as community choice voting, which we'll demonstrate in just a bit. Before we introduce quadratic funding, I wanted to show a quick video which explains what quadratic funding is, and it does it in a quick and interesting way. So I'll go ahead and hit play on this.
Quadratic funding is the mathematically optimal way to fund an ecosystem in a democratic way. The secret behind quadratic funding is the math, and it's not as complicated as it sounds. This is how it works. QF is basically a crowdfunding campaign wherein you match contributions from everyday citizens with a pool raised from bigger donors. The neat thing about quadratic funding is how it optimizes around the grants funded by the crowdfunding campaign. Here's an example. If you have 4 grants in a $1,000 matching round, and Grant A raises $10 from 10 different contributors, and Grant B raises $10 from 1 contributor, Grant A will get way more of the matching funds because it's supported by a broader swath of the community. During the quadratic funding round, a donation of $10 can be matched with $75, and a $100 donation can be matched with $240 because of the QF formula. Because the matching multiples are so promising for the best projects, quadratic funding has gotten a lot of traction. The Ethereum community has raised over $4 million from quadratic funding campaigns contributed to by 500 people. Quadratic funding powers a mesh network of small donors who are supporting the very best projects in the Ethereum space. To learn more about how quadratic funding could power your ecosystem's growth, check out WTFisQF.com.
So this video was put together by Gitcoin, and yeah, it's a great introduction to how quadratic funding works. And I want to take a look at the Dorahacks website and kind of show you how this would work in practice. So here on the homepage, you can click on the Moonriver Grant Hackathon, and we already have 2 submissions here for the hackathon. And this is community-based voting. And so when you find a project that you like and you want to support, you can click vote, and you can connect your MetaMask. I'm not sure if you can see my MetaMask here. It might just be displaying the Chrome tab, so I don't think you can see it. But there's nothing important on MetaMask at this time. The important thing here is this explanation. So your first vote towards a particular project costs 0.01 mover. And then the cost of each additional vote, so when you want to throw kind of additional support behind one particular project, that costs a little bit more. So as an example, let's say that I want to submit just 1 vote, so that costs 0.01 mover. I can go ahead and confirm this and submit that. If I want to submit 2 votes, though, the cost increases for each vote. If I want to submit 3, and if I'm very enthusiastic, I want to submit 10 votes for this project, wow, all of a sudden, the cost of each vote has increased. So a couple clarifications, right? You might say, hey, Kevin, okay, I'm just submitting, 1 vote. This vote is only, 0.01 mover, so is this team, just getting like a small amount of funds for this or something? And the answer is no. They actually could be getting a lot. So don't think of the payment for the vote as kind of like the rewards. Rather, think of it as the allocation of the matching funds. So you're deciding. We have a matching pool, as we said, of $50,000, and you're kind of deciding where that $50,000 gets allocated to. So the projects that end up having the most votes are going to get a quadratically kind of like exponentially increasing amount of the rewards. So that's really, really cool. And you saw in the video that the decentralization aspect is really key. So if you just have one account that submits a large number of votes, that's going to be weighed as less important than if we had 10 different accounts that are each submitting one vote. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why don't I just create 10 different accounts? I'll vote one time from each account, and then I'll be good to go. And then, wow, like maybe I have a good chance of winning or something. However, that's not a good idea. And Dorahacks has a grace period of 3 to 5 days where they review every single vote, and they have anti-Sybil attack analysis. So they'll look for those types of behavior, and they will invalidate any instance, where they see accounts that are just split up and trying to manipulate the voting. So this is an organic and a community-funded effort, and it's very, very cool. I've seen it play out in practice last year in Austin, Texas, at an in-person hackathon with Dorahacks. It was really, really cool, and it allows the community to really have a huge say in who ends up being the winner. And then for the best projects, they end up getting funded with a large amount of funds, right? So that's really, really cool to see. So these projects are getting the support they need to grow the project and expand their grants, and that's really, really cool for the future of this space, and for teams that want to have fun and do well in these hackathons. So I'm going to go ahead and head back to the slides, and we'll move to the next slide. So this was the example that I just demonstrated. Dorahacks has a full voting guide to show you how you can vote, and you can check this out. Okay, let's talk about the judged bounties now. So in terms of the overall breakdown of judged bounty prizes, we have XCM as the largest component. So that's the grand prize. XCM is the biggest topic here in this hackathon, and I'll be introducing that bounty completely in the next slide. We also have NFTs, which this is a great area for anyone. So whether you're a developer new to Web3, whether you've been in Web3 for a while and you just haven't explored NFTs, these bounties are a great option. They're a fun option, and you get to see some very cool, visual results for your effort, which is always fun to see. And I'll show some, examples coming up later. We also have a couple of gaming-focused bounties. So ChainSafe, you may know them, from their bridges. They just introduced a SDK called the ChainSafe Gaming SDK, and what that allows you to do is to bring in blockchain data into Unity. So if you're building a game with Unity and you want to make it a Web3 game, well, now it's possible. So this is an open-ended bounty, and we'll get into more detail with it. We also have an indexer bounty. So indexers such as Covalent, the Graph, etc., they allow you to get data from the blockchain in a way that's much easier and much more convenient. So they're very powerful, and we'll see an example of that. We also have the top 3 projects overall. So that's first place, second place, and third place. The Huobi Incubator best projects. So these are bounties that you're eligible for, regardless of the other bounties that you submit for. You can submit to an indexer one, and then you can also, you can submit to an XCM one or an NFT one, and you may also be eligible for these Huobi Incubator, top prizes overall. We also have Huobi Incubator moonshot prizes. So what's a moonshot prize? Well, a moonshot prize is if you're working on something that's original and interesting and innovative, but it doesn't quite line up with the other bounties that are specified. When we were designing the bounties for this hackathon, we wanted to provide bounties that were relevant and interesting and exciting, ones that are at the cutting edge of technology in this space. But we also wanted to provide an open enough range of bounties such that if you're working on something that's unique and interesting, maybe it's not XCM or NFTs or gaming or anything like that, we want to have bounties for you to apply to. The other things to keep in mind is that these are just the judged bounties, right? You don't have to apply to any of the judged bounties. You could rely just on quadratic funding. And quadratic funding is a full, 1/3 of the total prizes for the hackathon. So something to keep in mind. Okay, so for the first bounty, I mentioned that XCM is the grand prize for this hackathon. And as such, it's a major focus, and I want to spend enough time briefly introducing it. So we're going to have a full workshop on this next week, next Thursday. So that'll be with Alberto, and it'll also be a collaboration with Subquery. But to briefly introduce XCM, right? XCM is just a message format specification. It's not a protocol. It's not an application. All it is a format telling you this is what your messages should look like. And the way XCM works is you open up a channel. It's a one-way channel. So you open up a channel between each different parachain that you want to connect. So in the example on the right, we have the first example of vertical message passing. So that would be a message between the relay chain and a parachain such as Moonbeam. And these channels are one way, right? So you have one going from Moonbeam to the Polkadot relay chain, and you have one going from the Polkadot relay chain to Moonbeam. And on the right, you have cross-chain message passing. So in the future, it's going to be possible to connect parachain to parachain with just a single hop. But right now, everything goes through the relay chain. Everything is coordinated through the relay chain. So if you want to send a message from Moonbeam to another parachain, the message will first go up to the Polkadot relay chain, and then it will be then sent down to the other parachain. So in practice, this works quite seamlessly. Eventually there'll be optimizations that are made so you can make these messages be sent, directly from parachain to parachain without hopping through the relay chain. But even now it's pretty seamless, and the implementation of it and the functionality of it, is quite similar. So why is XCM so important? One example is transferring tokens and transferring value, right? And this is a trustless transfer of value, right? We're not talking about a bridge here where we have wrapped assets where there's some trust involved, or perhaps some compromises. This is native assets that are being transferred in a trustless way, and it's extremely powerful. And recall that all of the security and finality guarantees of parachains, remember that they all come from the Polkadot relay chain. So when you have communication between different parachains, such as XCM, you can rest assured that this communication is being facilitated by the relay chain, and you're not worrying about crossing different blockchains, and maybe one blockchain has an issue. All this is happening in the same ecosystem with a standard format that's very robust. It's also future-proof. So different versions of XCM can talk to one another. So if one parachain uses a different upgraded version, it can still communicate with maybe parachains that are running different versions of XCM. XCM is very, very powerful, and I may be speaking in kind of abstract terms now because we're going to be going into detail in later workshops, and it's very, very powerful. So you can do a lot with XCM, but it's also complex. And it can be, it can be a delight for developers because you can do whatever you want with it. But it can also be a bit confusing, for developers, and also a bit confusing, for end users. So I'll get more into like a demo of kind of the user experience, maybe like the user experience issue. But I first want to kind of introduce what's the first XCM scenario. So on Moonriver, we introduced the concept of XC20s. And XC20s are native substrate assets that comply to ERC20 standards. So this is a really, really powerful concept. You can have an asset such as KSM, and you can then have that as an XC20 on Moonriver. And that means that you can transfer this asset via XCM, and then you can also put it to work in DeFi. You can stake it, you can put it in yield farming pools, you can do all different sorts of things. And so this is unlocking, the power of these native substrate assets and allowing you to put them to work in DeFi, which is very, very powerful. And it's one that we're really excited about. And when you're interacting, with these assets, these XC20 assets, because they're ERC20s, it's very easy for you to incorporate these into your application without needing to make any changes. So, for example, if we have, you have a DeFi application and you want to, incorporate XCKSM, it's just like adding another asset like USDC. There's no real changes that you need to make. All of this is very, very easy to integrate. So moving on to the problem, right? What's the problem with XCM? So for the end users, right, we have a beautiful interface on apps.moonbeam.network. We have a wonderful interface for them to transfer their tokens between different chains, and so that's flawless. But when you look at kind of the developer experience, and then sort of the experience for how you can see the status of these assets, that's a bit more confusing. So as an example here, I transferred some tokens from a Karura testnet, and I transferred them to the Moonbase Alpha testnet. So I'm transferring from parachain to parachain. And this is the event that was emitted on the sending chain. And we can see here that I have an account ID. That makes sense. I have a specific token. Okay, I have a certain amount of these tokens. It looks like a lot. It's only 10. And then I have something. I'm getting down to this XCM multi-location, and I'm getting down to parents and interior. And it's like, what's parachain ID 1000? What is that? And users might be saying, what's X2? And if you talk to somebody and say, hey, what's an X2? They'll probably say, well, it's a BMW. So that could be confusing. And another thing is that this parachain ID is 1000 for Moonbase Alpha, but then the parachain ID for Moonriver, is going to be different. And all of these are complexities, which, as a developer, you can get used to these complexities, but for onboarding, the next million users, right, we want to make their experience, as seamless as possible. So they might not be looking into events, in these substrate explorers, but they want to know the status of their assets, right? They want to know, did my transfer go through? Where is it? I sent this transfer, and I want to make sure that it went to this account, but I'm not sure exactly where to check. And so in the prior example, right, I sent funds from a parachain to the Moonbase Alpha testnet. In this example, I'm sending funds from Moonbase Alpha back to another parachain. And if I look up my transaction on Moonscan, so on an EVM-based explorer, I see something that looks like this. And this is like a typical contract interaction, but I don't know how much I sent, right? There's no indicator of how many tokens I sent. So in this example, I believe that I sent XC Karura, and I don't know how much I sent. I also don't know which address this was going to. Now, I know which address it went to because I specified it in apps.moonbeam.network. I pasted, the specific substrate address that I wanted these funds to go to. But when I go and look it up on an Explorer, what happens if I'm looking like a week later or something? What if I made the transfer and I forgot, and then I go back a week later and I'm like, hey, where are my assets? So I see something like this, which says 2, and I'm interacting with a 0x00000. So we're interacting, with a type of contract, but we're not really sure, where the funds are going. So the challenge, for this Explorer is to build a unified Explorer where users can paste in, an Ethereum transaction hash or, a substrate transaction hash and say, oh, okay, I see. This is the status of the transfer. This transfer went through on X date. You were sending tokens from, Moonriver to another parachain, or you were sending, tokens from, the testnet, to another parachain's testnet. So that's very, very important and powerful. So again, if you can show a user's balances, on these different chains, that can be incredibly, incredibly helpful. So that's the basic use case, is saying, here's my transaction hash. I'm not sure if it's an XCM transaction, right? So you want to be able to tell users, hey, this wasn't an XCM transaction. This is just a normal transaction. Or they could say, yes, this was an XCM transaction. You were transferring funds from the Moonbase Alpha parachain to the Karura testnet parachain, and it happened on X date. You sent this amount, and the transfer status was successful, right? All of this is extremely beneficial, to end users, and you're taking a complex technology and you're simplifying it, right? If you can present a beautiful UI, right? If you can make XCM, something that's easy for users to understand and to take advantage of, then you're advancing, this whole ecosystem, in an incredible way. So that's kind of the XCM cross-chain Explorer. As the grand prize, this has the largest bounty. So for first place in the XCM cross-chain Explorer, the bounty is $20,000. And for the second place, the second best submission, the bounty for that is $5,000. So this is a very attractive bounty. And we also have a couple more. Resources. So this first one, XCM on Moonbeam, a technical introduction, is a terrific workshop that takes you through interacting with XCM and sending funds from parachain to parachain. It's extremely beneficial, and so I highly recommend that you check it out. Alberto did this in February, and it's very relevant. So we also have some XCM documentation on our Moonbeam docs site. So we have a landing page with kind of some background on what is XCM. And then we also have the example of how to interact with XC20s. There's some more resources that aren't listed here. If you prefer, visual learning, we have some YouTube tutorials on our YouTube channel showing you how you can transfer XC assets between chains. We also have a live workshop next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. UTC. It's kind of an interesting time zone because the subquery team is in New Zealand, and the Moonbeam team is distributed around the world. So we have like 1 hour time slot that works for the different teams. So we had to put it at this particular time. But if you can't attend these workshops live and as they happen, that's perfectly fine, because we're going to have all of the replays posted. So you can watch these at your convenience at any time. So moving on to the NFT Focus Bounties. Allow me to show a scenario. So I've collected some NFTs on Moonriver, and it was fun to collect them. And I'm happy, checking out my address from time to time. And I sometimes alternate, my profile pictures. I show, I've had my Moon Ninja as one. I've had my Black Snake as my profile picture at some point. And then for Seascape, I use that NFT in a game. But I want to show off my NFTs, right? I want to show my friends the NFTs that I have. And, I might not have it as my profile picture at a certain point in time. So I really want to show them off, right? That's kind of part of the point of collecting NFTs, right? Is that you want to show the world the NFTs that you have. So if I want to show my friends the NFTs that I have, I can send them my address and I can say, here's my address, go ahead and check out my NFTs. So they might look up my address on Moonscan and they might see, okay, he's got 3 different tokens, three different ERC 721 NFT tokens, but they can't see what they are. They can see that I have one of each of these different types, and they can go and look at the total supply and things like that. But they don't see any detail. They don't know if I have a rare one. They don't know which is the one that I have, like what it looks like. And so there's a lot more information that they might be looking for. NFT Trade is a great marketplace, for buying and selling NFTs. In terms of like showcasing your NFTs, it might not be the greatest. So here is the example of trying to show off my NFTs on NF Trade. And my Moon Ninja is here. My Black Snake is has no image available, and then my Seascape image was either still loading or didn't load. And so there's a lot. There's a long way to go in terms of building out an application that makes it easy to display your NFTs. It's not particularly hard, right? I'm not saying this is a difficult bounty. I'm just saying that the support for the different types of NFTs might not be there in terms of recognizing the image for each of these different NFTs. So what would we love to see, right? For an NFT Showcase app, we'd love to see an app that allows users to showcase their NFTs, and one that supports as many different collections as possible. Again, I want to show off my NFTs, right? You have them, you collect them, but you don't want to hoard them, and you don't want to just say like, well, I'm the only one who knows about my NFTs. The fun part is sharing them with the world. So if you can share them with different types of relevant NFT metadata, such as the rarity, the token ID, maybe if you want to get more advanced, you can include things like the floor price for this particular NFT and things like that. Another important thing to consider is user-friendly links, right? I want to share my NFTs. I want to send the link around, to my profile. And I don't want to send a link that looks like the bottom one, which is mynfts.com/address/0x, blah, blah, blah. I want to share something that looks like a username where somebody can say, oh yeah, sure, that looks right. Let me go ahead and click on that. So we want to make this, more mainstream. We want to make, the fun of showing off your NFTs. That's kind of, the ethos of this bounty. And the first place prize for this bounty is $7,000. And the second place prize is $2,500. Now, you're free, to build this application exactly as you choose. And we do have a couple of relevant workshops. We have a workshop with Pinata, and we also have a workshop with Covalent. So next Wednesday is the Covalent workshop, and Covalent, provides a great way for you to access blockchain data, not just NFT data, but I believe that the focus of their workshop will be, at least in part, showing you how you can get NFT data. So you might want to say, let me get all of the different NFT collections that a user has. And typically, you might have to say, like, oh, let me specify like exactly which NFT contract that I want to check this user's balance for. And that's kind of like a manual process. However, Covalent massively simplifies this project and this process. And I don't want to steal their thunder. I'll let them explain exactly how it works. But in essence, Covalent makes it so that you only have to do a single request. In many cases, it's a single API. And in many cases, you might only have to make a single request. So it's extremely powerful. and it's much easier, than kind of manually checking all these different, contracts for different balances and the like. So the next NFT bounty is an NFT Creation and Deployment DApp. So instead of showcasing your NFTs, we want to allow you, to make it easy for non-technical users to create and deploy NFTs. So when you think about, the structure of this, you should have a way for users to, upload different images and create NFTs from those images. And it would be awesome if you could host these images in a decentralized way, right? And there are tools, such as Pinata, which kind of simplify that process. And also, you can host these images on tools like IPFS. And Pinata simplifies that process. So you don't have to get too deep into like learning about IPFS and the like. IPFS is a distributed and decentralized file storage system. So it means that you don't have to pay, Amazon Web Services $5 a month to keep your images hosted or something like that. And if you, want to embrace, the ethos of decentralization, these image files, and the image files, not just that, but also the metadata for the particular NFT should be hosted in a decentralized way. It's not a requirement. You don't have to for this bounty, but it's just something to think about. So while you're building these NFTs, while these users are creating these NFTs, they should be able to specify rarity. They should be able to specify, the specific and unique traits for these different NFTs. Now, many different there's kind of two things that you could maybe consider, right? You could consider somebody who maybe wants to build like a one-off NFT, and maybe you have like a shared NFT contract where you're just minting another one, and then you are sending it to the user that creates this one-off NFT. But it would also be ideal if you provide a way for users to create new ERC 721 contracts, so they can have 10 or 100 or an unlimited amount of NFTs that they could mint that are specific to them. So if you go ahead and search for that contract, on Moonscan, it should be, unique to them and not a shared contract, where it's one of 10,000 different NFTs, unless, they're just deploying one, and unless you kind of have that pooled contract. So you could kind of have like dual functionality there. And, the last consideration is to have a transfer function that's built into the UI. So after somebody mints their NFT, typically they don't want to just mint it and just leave it there, right? They want to transfer it to somebody. They want to give it to somebody. Perhaps, it was like a proof of attendance thing, or perhaps it was an award, or, they want to just give it out to their friends or something like that. So if you can have this transfer functionality that's built into the UI, perhaps as another step after minting, an optional step, that would be ideal. And keep in mind that your user here is somebody who is non-technical and may not know that much about NFTs. So try to make this as welcoming an experience as possible for new users. Okay, so moving on to indexers and gaming bounties. So we have an indexers bounty. This is an award of $5,000, and it's a single award. And the idea behind this is that indexers such as Covalent or the Graph, they make it very easy for you to get blockchain data. So what do I mean by this, right? What's an example? Typically, if you want to get data such as a user's ERC20 token balances, right? Typically, you would have to go and you'd have to send a request, to a node for every single ERC20 token contract that you'd like to check the user's balance for. So as an example, you would have a user's address, and then you would say, okay, I need to check, do they have any USDC? Do they have any USDT? Do they have any wrapped Ethereum? Do they have any wrapped Bitcoin? And there's thousands, right? There's thousands of these tokens. So this sounds like a complex and a very difficult process. Instead, Covalent, massively simplifies this process. So with a single request, you can submit a user's address, and you can say, what ERC20 tokens does this user have? And Covalent maintains, balances for these users, and they also maintain lists of different ERC20 tokens, so you don't have to constantly update a list of different ERC20 tokens to check whenever a new contract gets deployed, right? You can rely on Covalent to do this for you with a single request. And Covalent does much more, but this is just a simple example that I think is very powerful and kind of encapsulates the value that is provided there. So the challenge here is to use an indexer to provide a key piece of data in your application. You don't have to use Covalent. You could use the graph. You could use any type of indexer, but you should use this data, to enhance your application, right? That's it. So this is an easy bounty to integrate, and it can be layered, so you don't have to just pick this one and then focus on this exclusively. You can apply or be eligible for another bounty as well as this one. Okay, we also have a gaming bounty. We have two. We have a first place and a second place one, but this is really, really cool. So the challenge here is to launch a game on Moonriver. So any type of game, there's no particular requirements. The inspiration for this bounty was ChainSafe's new gaming SDK. So ChainSafe's new gaming SDK is open source, and it makes it very easy to integrate blockchain data into the Unity gaming engine. So I saw an example of this at ETH Denver, actually, of Unity being used for a virtual environment. And that was really, really cool. So Unity, you can use that, I think, for more than different, like more than just gaming. You can use it for like a virtual world and virtual environments and maybe like virtual reality and things like that. But the focus, here is launching a game, and yeah, it's extremely powerful to be able to integrate blockchain data into your Unity game. So you might already have like a fully built out Unity game, and then now you want to make it Web3 compatible. So yeah, this is very, very cool, and we're excited to see what different types of games get submitted. This example here we have is Blockchain Monster Hunt, which is a multi-chain gaming DApp, which I was checking out the other day, and it was quite fun. And so I highly recommend that you check it out. It's actually on Moonbeam. Okay, we also have Huobi Incubator bounties. We have the best overall submissions. We have a first place prize of $10,000. We have a second place prize of $7,500 and a third place prize of $4,000. So these are the best overall submissions, and we're very grateful to have Huobi Incubator as a global strategic sponsor. And their support, extends, beyond the bounties. They're in this, for the long haul, and they want to support projects that go on, that maybe win, parts or bounties, of this hackathon, and then they go on and they say, I really want to make this, into a company, or I want to make this, I want to make this into a company, and I want to grow it, and keep it going. So we're very excited. And any submission is eligible. You don't have to choose this bounty in particular. You don't have to say, I only want to focus on this bounty by itself. Instead, any submission is eligible. And participating in other bounties, does not exclude you participating in this one. We also have two Huobi Incubator Moonshot bounties. So the idea behind the Moonshot bounty is that maybe you're working on something that's original and it's unique, but it doesn't fit into these other bounty categories. Well, we have a bounty for you, and we have two awards of $10,000 each for if you're working on something that's original and unique and doesn't fit into the other bounty categories. And again, you don't have to rely on just the judge bounties. We also have this huge amount of quadratic funding or community choice voting, which you're eligible for as well. We have a number of different workshops. So this week was the introductory workshop week for getting you up and running. We have a Chinese language introductory workshop tonight at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is Friday, March 25th at 1 p.m. China Standard Time. So that's going to be very similar to this one. Henry will be presenting that. We also have a introduction to Pinata, and we have Justin from Pinata presenting this. And Pinata is going to be very useful for the NFT Focus Bounties. Pinata makes it easy for you to, in a decentralized way, manage your NFT metadata and images, and it's a tool that facilitates that and makes it much easier. So I'm very excited to see that. That'll be Monday, March 28th at 6 p.m. UTC, and we also have a querying blockchain data with Covalent workshop. That's next Wednesday, and this is with Lailani from Covalent, and it is not just NFT focus, but I think there's going to be like a big NFT focus, for this particular workshop. But Covalent provides not just NFT data, but they also provide much more blockchain data. But it could be very relevant for the NFT focus bounties and also the indexer bounties, the indexer bounty, and just in general, even if you're working on something totally different. Covalent is a wonderful tool, and I highly recommend you attend that workshop. And then next Thursday we have the Getting Started with XCM workshop. That's co-hosted by Alberto from Moonbeam and with James and Scott from Subquery. So Subquery, I maybe haven't mentioned yet. It is an indexer, but the key and unique feature of Subquery is that it provides access to both EVM data and substrate data. So this is very relevant for your XCM Explorer bounty. If you want to get blockchain data from both the substrate side and the Ethereum side, and you want to do it with a single tool, Subquery is probably the best. And so you should definitely check out this workshop. We'll get you started, with XCM, and these are great opportunities to really get started building. And after these workshops, if you have any questions, if you need help, of course, we're more than happy to help you and to provide that assistance. And so where can you get help? The main place is the Moonbeam Discord. So if you haven't joined yet, the link to join that is discord.gg/Moonbeam. And we have a devs hub and then a builders section. You can ask your questions in there. And we're also creating a new hackathon focus channel where we'll be sharing resources for this hackathon and for the many different bounties, right? We want to have the resources for you. We have, much of the resources already on our doc site and the like, but we want to make it easy for you to find these resources. So we'll be posting, a lot of resources there. We also have a Telegram group that was created specifically for the Moonriver Grant Hackathon. That's t.me/moonrivergrant. We have our doc site here. We have our main website, which is moonbeam.network, but our doc site can be accessed at docs.moonbeam.network. We also have a Twitter, which I highly recommend you following, to get updates on the different workshops that we have. We'll be tweeting out about them. And we also have a Telegram, which is a bit more crowded. There's a lot of discussion there, so maybe not the best place to get your questions answered, but it could be interesting as well. So we have a link tree on the right, and the link tree is, has links to everything. So you can just scan this with your phone and then gain access to all of these links and some more as well. I wanted to take a couple minutes just to answer any questions, and feel free to ask any questions that you have in the chat box, or I think we also have an ask a question box as well. So yeah, feel free to drop any questions. And if you don't have any questions, I'll also be hanging around, the Discord. And not only that, but we have, really almost around the clock support in our Discord. We have support in different languages. So we have Chinese language, we have Spanish language. In addition to English, we have a number of different international communities, which are, channels which are staffed, by our ambassador community. And so we're very grateful to have their support to, expand the different languages where we can, provide support in. but yeah, I'm super excited to see what you build, and I hope you join us, for the upcoming workshops, which will be, taking place again. The Chinese language introductory workshop happening tomorrow at tomorrow Friday, so happening at 1 p.m. China Standard Time or 10 p.m. Pacific Time tonight, and we have a bunch of workshops next week with the guest speakers. So we're super excited for those, and hope that you'll consider joining us for those. And thank you so much for joining me here today. It's a great pleasure, and hope to see you soon.